part 40, who the fuck did I marry? So we are now at the point of July 2021. We're at the point where I've spoken to the female cousin, and she gave me the phone number for the older brother. For the purposes of this video, we're going to call him Chris. Chris was very nice. I called him. He was gracious. He was willing to answer whatever questions I had. And what he said to me was, he said, my brother has always been a liar. He's always been a liar. He said, but ask me what questions you have and I'll confirm what's real and what's not. First question I had was, when was the last time you spoke to him? Without missing a beat, Chris says, 2015, just after our mother's funeral. I explained to him about the phone calls, the fact that Legion would be on the phone for 35 minutes, laughing, talking to Chris, relaying messages from Chris to me, and relaying messages from me to Chris. Without missing a beat, Chris says he was never talking to me. And he said, now I am going to say this. Maybe he was on the phone, but he was not on the phone with me. He said, because he knows that if I ever see him, I'm going to whoop his ass. And I'm laughing because obviously Legion loves to say I'm going to whoop somebody's ass. So for the people who were confused, like, wait, what does this mean about the phone calls? What this means is every single time that my ex-husband was on the phone, holding his phone like this, talking, laughing, cracking jokes. Hey, my wife said that, we can go later on this evening and all this other stuff. Every time they were doing things like that, every time he was having a phone call or conversation that he claims to be with Chris, no one is on the phone. No one's on the phone. That is what that means. So I'm on the phone with Chris. My mind is spinning. It is blowing up like a volcano. I mean, I'm going crazy. I'm going crazy because what this means is that for the past 4 or 5 months, every morning that he is having a phone call with his brother Chris, I am now understanding in real time that phone call was completely fake. So Chris tells me maybe he was talking to somebody else, but it wasn't me. He said the only family member that Legion actually talks to is the twin. And that's only because for some reason, I guess it's their twins, he helps him out when he needs it. Legion only calls the twin when he needs money. And the twin, according to Chris, now this is the part that might blow some minds. The twin brother, the one that is older by 20 minutes, is VP of his company, is married, drives a luxury car, and lives in like a 4 or 5 bedroom house in Nashville. So Chris is saying to me, he was like, it sounds like he took the identity of the twin and was trying to act like that's his life. And it's not. He was like, that nigga ain't never had no money, ain't never kept a job a long period of time. And he was like, and you're telling me that he claims he was VP of a company? And so he was like, did you ever see anything? Did you ever meet people like Chris? I respect the fact that he was asking me the same questions y'all are asking me. Did you ever meet any family members? And I told him, I said, I met your aunt. Well, what aunt is that? I told him her name. He said, that ain't our damn aunt. I don't know if y'all have ever dealt with people from Philly. So he was just loud. He was like, that ain't our aunt. He said, that is our mother's best friend. And I don't trust that hoe. I'm sorry. It's the way he said it that it makes me laugh. Anyway, he's like, I don't trust her. I don't trust her at all. She is not our aunt. She was our mother's best friend when our mother was living in Augusta. She's not our aunt. So then I explained to him about the other brothers. The brothers, remember, there were 2 half brothers from his dad. One lived in Baltimore, one lived in Augusta. Chris is on the phone saying, I don't know who them niggas are. They ain't related to us. He said, our dad never had other kids. He was like, so you mean to tell me this nigga going around telling people that our dad had kids on our mom? And I said to him, well, the way he actually put it is that the two brothers came before y'all. He was like, hell no. No. So then I explained to him about the sisters. He was like, who the hell is Shantae? And I was like, Shantae, again, I'm just telling you what I was told. Shantae is a sister that lives in Douglasville, married with 2 kids. He was like, no, we don't have a sister. Told him about Kim. He was like, Kim's not our sister, she's a cousin. And he said to me, and I know she ain't talked to him in forever in 2 days. He said, so everyone, the only people who are his family members is Chris and the twin. He's like, we got some cousins up here. I told him about Junebug. I told him about the uncle. I told him about the grandmother. And he's just sitting back like, oh my God. He was like, I realized that every relationship my brother gets in, he gets worse. And it sounds like he is actually worse than what he was in the last relationship. And I thought he was talking about the ex-wife that I had spoken to. No, he had no idea there was another wife. Because again, he hasn't spoken to him since 2015. So he was like, the best thing I can say to you is this. He said, thank God you ain't have kids with him. He said, get your divorce and forget you ever met this man. And he was like, and I know how that sounds because he's my brother. He said, but if I didn't have to claim him, I wouldn't. And I said to him something that I should have probably said in this whole TikTok series. This is not someone that you forget. This is not a situation that, man, I don't even remember him. No. What I don't remember is the version of myself before I met him, because nothing so far has turned out to be true. The only thing that Chris was able to tell me is true is that, number one, yes, there is a brother in Philly, him. Yes, there is a brother in Nashville, the twin. Yes, both parents are deceased. That is what I was told from the beginning. Those pieces of information are true. The grandmother did die in 2008. He was like, no, she definitely didn't die in 2020. I told him how I found the obituary. And so he was like, and the uncle, he said, which uncle is he talking about? Because if you guys remember, back in one of the parts, I talk about where he said his uncle was giving him advice on why he should not open up his savings account to let me see it. He would not let me see it. And so I'm telling Chris about the uncle, and he was like, that uncle been dead for years. I told him about Junebug. He said, Junebug been dead for years. And I said, Chris, he was having conversations with Junebug on the phone in front of me. He was like, it wasn't Junebug. He said, it sounds like my brother was making up the conversations. He said, he definitely was making up the conversations with me. He said, hell no, I ain't gonna be on the phone at no 6 o'clock in the morning. So the conversation with Chris solidified that this is the actual family tree. And no, there were never any conversations with his brother every morning when I was getting ready to go to work. They had never talked. On to the next part.